What if I told you there's a place where 40,000 perfectly shaped stone columns rise from the ground like a giant staircase? Or that somewhere on Earth, massive boulders balance on tiny pedestals that look like they should topple over with a gentle push? Right now, there are rock formations so bizarre that scientists still can't fully explain how they formed, and some of them might disappear forever. 1. Wave Rock, Australia. Imagine standing in front of what looks like a massive ocean wave, frozen solid, just as it was about to crash down. That's exactly what you'll find at Wave Rock in Western Australia. This 50-foot tall granite formation stretches over 350 feet long and has been carved by millions of years of wind and rain into the perfect shape of a breaking wave. The rock face is painted in stunning stripes of red, yellow, and gray that flow like water down its surface. These colors come from chemicals in rainwater that have stained the rock over thousands of years, creating nature's own artwork. The wave shape formed through a process called chemical weathering, where slightly acidic rainwater slowly dissolved parts of the granite. What makes wave rock even stranger is that it's just one part of a much larger underground rock formation called hidden rock, which extends for miles beneath the surface. Aboriginal people have lived around this formation for thousands of years and consider it sacred. The area around Wave Rock is also famous for other bizarre granite formations, with names like Hippo's Yawn and the Humps. Scientists believe these rocks are over 2.7 billion years old, making them some of the oldest exposed rocks on Earth. Today, Wave Rock attracts visitors from around the world who come to see this natural sculpture that looks like it could come crashing down at any moment, even though it's been frozen in stone for millions of years. 2. Giant's Causeway, Northern Ireland. Over 9,000 miles away from Wave Rock, there's a coastline in Northern Ireland that looks like it was built by giants. The Giant's Causeway features 40,000 perfectly shaped stone columns that march straight into the ocean like a staircase for titans. Each column has 6 sides and fits together so perfectly that early visitors thought they had to be man-made. The truth is even more amazing than the legend. These columns formed 60 million years ago when massive volcanic eruptions covered the landscape with molten lava. As this lava cooled, it cracked into these perfect geometric shapes, with each crack creating the exact angles needed to form hexagons. Scientists recently discovered that this cracking happened at temperatures around 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt copper. The cooling process was so uniform that it created thousands of nearly identical columns, each fitting together like pieces of a giant puzzle. The columns are so perfectly formed that they inspired one of the biggest scientific debates in history, with some experts insisting they had to be created underwater, while others argued they came from volcanic activity. The volcanic team won, but it took nearly 100 years of arguments to settle the question. Today, the Giant's Causeway is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and legend still says it was built by the Irish giant Finn McCool as a bridge to Scotland to fight his rival Benandonner. 3. Balanced Rock, Utah. Now, let's talk about rocks that seem to break the laws of physics. In Utah's Arches National Park stands Balanced Rock, a 3,500-ton boulder that sits on top of a narrow stone pillar like it's been carefully placed there by a cosmic crane. The boulder is made of hard sandstone, while the pedestal beneath it is made of much softer mudstone that's slowly washing away. Every year, rain and wind chip away tiny pieces of the base, making this balancing act more and more precarious. Scientists estimate that one day, maybe in 100 years, maybe tomorrow, this massive rock will finally tip over and crash to the ground. This isn't just a fantasy. In 1975, a smaller balanced rock called Chip Off the Old Block that stood right next to the current balanced rock finally lost its battle with gravity and tumbled down. Visitors had been watching it wobble for decades, knowing it could fall at any moment. The same fate awaits hundreds of other balanced rocks around the world. These formations are so delicate that earthquakes, strong winds, or even the vibrations from too many tourists can bring them down. Some balanced rocks are so perfectly positioned that they can crack a walnut shell without crushing the nut inside. Yet they've somehow survived ice ages, storms, and millions of years of erosion. Balanced rock stands 128 feet tall and serves as a constant reminder that even the most solid-looking formations are temporary in geological time. 4. Devil's Tower, Wyoming. If balanced rocks seem impossible, then Devil's Tower in Wyoming looks like it was dropped from outer space. This massive stone column shoots 867 feet straight up from the flat prairie like a giant tree stump. The tower is so perfectly vertical and so out of place in the surrounding landscape that early Native American legends said it was created when a giant bear clawed at the earth, trying to reach some children who had been magically lifted to safety. Modern science tells us Devil's Tower is actually the core of an ancient volcano. All the softer rock around it has eroded away over millions of years, leaving only this incredibly hard volcanic neck standing alone. The vertical grooves running up its sides aren't bear claws, but cooling cracks that formed when the molten rock slowly hardened underground. The tower is made of a rock called phonolite porphyry, which is much harder than the surrounding sedimentary rocks. Devil's Tower was the first national monument in the United States, designated in 1906. The formation attracts rock climbers from around the world who scale its vertical faces using the natural cracks as handholds. But many Native American tribes still consider it sacred and ask climbers to avoid the tower during certain times of the year. The Lakota name for Devil's Tower is Medo-Tipala, which means Bear's Lodge, referring to the ancient legend of the giant bear. 5. Antelope Canyon, Arizona. In the heart of Arizona's desert lies a hidden world that photographers have called the most beautiful place on Earth. Antelope Canyon is a slot canyon so narrow that in some places you can stretch your arms and touch both walls at the same time. The canyon was carved by flash floods rushing through Navajo sandstone over thousands of years, creating smooth, flowing walls that look like frozen waves. The Navajo people call the upper canyon Se-Bighanilini, which means the place where water runs through rocks. When sunlight streams down through the narrow opening above, it creates magical beams of light that seem solid enough to walk on. These light beams are most visible during summer months, when the sun is directly overhead. The canyon walls display incredible colors, ranging from deep orange to purple, created by different minerals in the sandstone and the way light reflects off the curved surfaces. But Antelope Canyon has a deadly secret. In 1997, 11 tourists were killed when a flash flood roared through the canyon with almost no warning. The storm that caused the flood was 7 miles away, and very little rain had fallen at the canyon itself that day. The water came rushing through so fast and powerful that it swept away the wooden ladders visitors used to climb out. Today, metal stairs are bolted into the rock, and safety systems watch for storms dozens of miles away. But the danger is always there. The same forces that created this beautiful canyon could destroy anyone caught inside in minutes. 6. Stone Forest, China. Half a world away in China, there's another impossible landscape called the Stone Forest of Shilin. This 500 square kilometer area is filled with limestone pillars that rise from the ground like petrified trees, creating the illusion of a forest made entirely of stone. These formations are 270 million years old and were created when this area was covered by an ancient sea. The limestone pillars can reach heights of 30 meters and are so densely packed that they create a maze-like landscape. Scientists recently solved the mystery of how these stone forests form by doing experiments with blocks of candy underwater. When they dissolved the candy, it created the exact same pointed spires they see in real stone forests. The limestone dissolves in almost the same way, with acidic rainwater slowly eating away at the rock over millions of years, leaving behind these incredible needle-sharp towers. The process is called karst weathering, and it creates underground caves and tunnels, as well as the surface formations. The stone forest is home to the Yi people, who have lived among these formations for centuries and have developed a rich culture of legends about the rocks. One famous story tells of a beautiful girl named Ashima who was turned to stone and can still be seen in one of the formations. The site has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 2007 and attracts millions of visitors who come to wander through this natural labyrinth of stone trees. 7. Hoodoos of Bryce Canyon, Utah. In Utah's Bryce Canyon, there's an army of stone soldiers standing at attention. These formations are called hoodoos, and they look like giant chess pieces carved by aliens. Each hoodoo is a tall, thin spire of rock topped with a harder capstone that protects the softer rock below from washing away. The orange and red colors come from different minerals in the rock layers, creating striped patterns that tell the story of ancient environments. Some hoodoos are as tall as 10-story buildings, while others are small enough to step over. The creation of hoodoos is a race between protection and destruction. The hard capstone on top acts like an umbrella, keeping rain from dissolving the softer rock underneath. But wind and frost constantly attack the sides of each hoodoo, slowly making them thinner and thinner. Bryce Canyon experiences over 200 freeze-thaw cycles each year, where water seeps into cracks, freezes at night, and expands to break the rock apart bit by bit. Eventually, the capstone becomes too heavy for the narrow base to support, and the whole structure comes crashing down. Scientists estimate that Bryce Canyon's hoodoos shrink by about 1 foot every 150 years. In some areas, you can see hoodoos in every stage of this process, from tall, strong towers to stumpy remains to piles of rubble where giants once stood. Nowhere else in the world has such a high concentration of hoodoos as Bryce Canyon. 8. The 12 Apostles, Australia. Off the coast of Australia, 12 massive limestone towers rise from the Southern Ocean like ancient monuments. The 12 Apostles were once part of the mainland cliffs, but millions of years of waves slowly cut them off from the shore. These sea stacks stand up to 150 feet tall and face constant attack from some of the most powerful waves on Earth. The limestone they're made of is relatively soft, and the ocean never stops grinding away at their bases. The 12 Apostles were formed over 10 to 20 million years through a process of erosion. First, the waves carved out caves in the limestone cliffs. Over time, these caves grew larger until they broke through to form arches. Eventually, the arches collapsed, leaving behind isolated towers standing in the sea. The process continues today, with new arches forming and old towers collapsing. In 2005, one of the Apostles suddenly collapsed into the sea, leaving behind only 8 remaining towers, despite the name. The collapse happened without warning, reminding visitors that these formations are constantly changing. Geologists predict that all of them will eventually fall. Some might last thousands of years, while others could collapse tomorrow. It's a dramatic reminder that even the most solid-looking rock formations are temporary when faced with the unstoppable force of water. 9. Fingal's Cave, Scotland. On a tiny uninhabited island off the coast of Scotland lies one of the most magical places on Earth. Fingal's Cave is a sea cave lined with the same hexagonal basalt columns we saw at Giant's Causeway, but here they create something even more spectacular, a natural cathedral. The columns rise from the water like organ pipes, and when waves crash into the cave, they create haunting musical sounds that can be heard from miles away. The cave is 250 feet long, and the roof soars 70 feet above the water level, creating perfect acoustics that have inspired composers like Mendelssohn to write symphonies. The cave's natural music comes from the way waves compress air inside the chamber and force it out through cracks in the rock, creating different tones depending on the size and power of the waves. Victorian visitors called it the Cathedral of the Sea. What makes Fingal's Cave even more amazing is that it was formed by the exact same volcanic event that created Giant's Causeway 60 million years ago. The lava flows stretched all the way from Northern Ireland to Scotland, creating this underground connection between two countries. But while the Giant's Causeway is easily accessible on land, reaching Fingal's Cave requires a dangerous boat journey through rough seas. Many visitors never make it inside because the waves are too violent, making this natural wonder one of the most exclusive concert halls on the planet. 10. Meteora, Greece. In central Greece, there's a landscape that looks like it belongs on another planet. Meteora features enormous sandstone pillars that rise 1,200 feet straight up from the plains. And balanced on top of these impossible towers are ancient monasteries. The rock formations were created 25 million years ago, when this area was under a prehistoric sea. Rivers carried sand and pebbles from nearby mountains, depositing them in thick layers on the seafloor. When the sea dried up, earthquakes and erosion carved these deposits into the towering pillars we see today. The word meteora means suspended in the air, and that's exactly what these monasteries look like. Buildings floating in the sky with no visible support. The pillars are made of conglomerate rock, which is a mixture of rounded pebbles cemented together, making them incredibly strong and resistant to erosion. In the 14th century, monks built these monasteries on top of the pillars to escape persecution, hauling up building materials using ropes and pulleys. The monks chose these impossible locations because they could only be reached by climbing removable ladders, making them perfect fortresses during times of war. Today, only 6 of the original 24 monasteries remain active, and they're accessible by staircases carved into the rock face. The monasteries contain priceless Byzantine art and manuscripts that have survived for centuries in these sky-high sanctuaries. 11. Moeraki Boulders, New Zealand. On a remote beach in New Zealand, giant stone spheres lie scattered across the sand like marbles dropped by titans. The Moeraki boulders are nearly perfect spheres, some weighing several tons and measuring up to 6 feet across. These mysterious rocks formed on the ocean floor millions of years ago, when minerals slowly crystallized around tiny pieces of organic matter, building up layer by layer like pearls in an oyster. The process took about 4 million years, and the perfectly round shape happened because the minerals grew equally in all directions from the central core. The boulders are made of mudstone with a hard outer shell of calcite crystals. Some of the boulders have cracked open, revealing hollow interiors or strange honeycomb patterns created by the crystallization process. What makes the Moeraki boulders truly strange is how they ended up on the beach. They were originally buried in soft mudstone cliffs, but as the ocean eroded the cliffs over thousands of years, the harder boulders were gradually exposed and rolled down onto the sand. Some boulders are still partially buried in the cliff face, looking like they're hatching from stone eggs. The Maori people have legends that these boulders are the remains of food baskets and water gourds that washed ashore from a great ancestral canoe. Scientists have found similar spherical rocks in only a few places on Earth, making this beach one of the rarest geological sites on the planet. 12. Valley of the Moon, Chile. In Chile's Atacama Desert, there's a place so alien that NASA uses it to test equipment for Mars missions. The Valley of the Moon, or Valle de la Luna, is a landscape of white sand dunes, jagged rock formations, and salt crystal towers that look like they were sculpted by extraterrestrials. This area was once covered by a prehistoric lake that slowly evaporated, leaving behind layers of salt, gypsum, and other minerals. Over millions of years, wind and rare rainfalls have carved these deposits into bizarre shapes. Some look like mushrooms, others like melting candles, and some like abstract sculptures. The lack of vegetation and the strange white and pink colors of the rocks make this place look so much like the surface of the moon that it's been used as a filming location for science fiction movies. The formations change color throughout the day as the sun moves across the sky, shifting from white to pink to deep red. The Valley of the Moon is located in the Atacama Desert, which is the driest place on Earth. Some areas haven't received rainfall in over 400 years, and the combination of extreme dryness and high altitude creates perfect conditions for preserving these delicate salt formations. The area is so sterile that scientists study it to understand what life might be like on Mars. Despite the harsh conditions, some of the most spectacular sunsets on Earth can be seen here when the salt formations glow like they're lit from within. 13. Chocolate Hills, Philippines. In the Philippines, there's a landscape that looks like a giant's candy store. The Chocolate Hills of Bohol consist of at least 1,260 cone-shaped hills, with some estimates reaching up to 1,776 that turn brown during the dry season, resembling enormous chocolate drops scattered across the countryside. These hills are made of limestone that was pushed up from the ocean floor by tectonic movements millions of years ago. What makes them so unusual is their incredibly uniform shape and size. Most are between 100 and 160 feet tall. Scientists believe the Chocolate Hills formed through a combination of coral reef activity, tectonic uplift, and millions of years of erosion. When this area was underwater, coral reefs built up thick layers of limestone. Later, the ocean floor was pushed up above sea level, and rainwater slowly dissolved the limestone, creating an underground network of caves and tunnels. Eventually, the roofs of these caves collapsed, leaving behind the cone-shaped hills we see today. During the rainy season, the hills are covered in green grass, but when the dry season arrives, the vegetation turns brown, creating the chocolate effect that gives them their name. The hills are spread across an area of 20 square miles, with mathematical precision that seems almost artificial. Local legends say the hills were formed from the tears of a giant who lost his mortal lover, but the geological truth is just as romantic. These are the remains of ancient coral reefs that once teemed with life under a prehistoric sea. 14. White Desert, Egypt. In Egypt's western desert, there's a place that looks like an outdoor sculpture museum designed by aliens. The White Desert is filled with chalk formations that have been carved by wind into impossible shapes. Some look like giant mushrooms, others like melting ice cream cones, and still others like abstract art pieces. These white chalk deposits were laid down when this area was covered by a shallow sea around 45 million years ago. The sea was full of tiny marine organisms whose shells slowly accumulated on the bottom, eventually forming thick layers of chalk. When the climate changed and the area became a desert, wind loaded with sand began sculpting these soft chalk formations. The constant sandblasting effect creates new shapes every year, meaning the White Desert is like a living art gallery that never stops changing. Some formations are so delicate that a strong windstorm can completely reshape them overnight. The White Desert gets its name from the brilliant white color of the chalk, which stands out dramatically against the golden sand dunes. At sunrise and sunset, the white formations glow pink and orange, creating one of the most surreal landscapes on Earth. The area is so remote and otherworldly that it's been used as a location for science fiction films. Visitors often camp overnight in the desert to experience the full effect of this alien landscape under a canopy of stars. 15. Cappadocia, Turkey. In central Turkey lies a landscape so bizarre that early Christians thought it was the perfect place to hide from the world. Cappadocia is famous for its fairy chimneys, towering rock formations that look like stone mushrooms, some reaching heights of 130 feet. These formations were created by one of the most violent volcanic events in Earth's history. Around 9 million years ago, nearby volcanoes erupted with such force that they covered the entire region with layers of volcanic ash and lava hundreds of feet thick. As this material cooled and hardened, it formed different types of rock. Soft volcanic tuff on the bottom, topped by harder layers of basalt. Over millions of years, wind and water began carving this volcanic landscape into incredible shapes. The harder basalt on top protected the softer rock below, creating the characteristic mushroom shapes we see today. But humans discovered something amazing about this soft volcanic rock. It was perfect for carving. Starting around 4,000 years ago, people began hollowing out the fairy chimneys to create homes, churches, and entire underground cities. Some of these underground complexes go down 18 levels deep and could house up to 20,000 people. They include ventilation systems, wine cellars, stables, chapels, and even underground rivers. The most incredible part of Cappadocia's story is that people are still living in these rock formations today. Some hotels are carved directly into fairy chimneys, offering guests the chance to sleep inside a million-year-old volcanic formation. Today, these ancient engineering marvels are still being discovered. In 2013, construction workers accidentally broke through into a massive underground city that had been hidden for centuries. From waves frozen in stone to underground cities carved into fairy chimneys, our planet has created art galleries that put human imagination to shame. Each of these formations took millions of years to create, yet they can disappear in an instant. A single earthquake, a powerful storm, or just the relentless march of time. Right now, as you're listening to this, new rock formations are being born in the depths of the ocean, and others are crumbling into dust. The Earth never stops sculpting itself, and somewhere out there, the next impossible landscape is slowly taking shape, waiting millions of years from now to make future humans stop and wonder how such things could possibly exist. What other secrets is our planet hiding in plain sight? And what will vanish forever before we get the chance to see it?